This is the Witching Hour Magical Podcast with your host, Ginger Quinlan.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Witching Hour Magical Podcast. This is Ginger. I hope you're having a great week. The energies are a little bit tense for this weekend. So just keep in mind that you may feel like there are things you want to do, things you might need to do, but then you'll have an overwhelming feeling of, I don't want to do it. Listen to the I don't want to do it part. It's your soul saying it's not quite the right time. Don't go there yet. So just so you know, the weekend's going to hold that kind of energy. It's also an energy of moving into fire energy. Finally, happy birthday, Leos. We are moving into fire. Yeah, we have been in watery Cancer for way too long. And it's been a whole lot of looking at our emotions, feeling too emotional, feeling like we need to hide out in our houses and just isolate. And now we have Leo energy bringing us out to go into the world and do our thing, but maybe not so much this weekend. This weekend, you may need to do your thing at home. Taking care of yourself, a little more Cancer energy, hanging on, saying just nurture yourself. If you don't want to do it, don't do it. That is the theme of this weekend. As we go into next week, it's going to be a lot better. So much better. I feel like there's just going to be a lot of opportunities coming in, a lot of doors opening where others have slammed shut, or you quietly shut them yourself and said, nope, not today. Thank you very much. And so get ready. Next week is going to be all about manifesting and shining and putting yourself out there, maybe having conversations with a lot of people, expressing yourself through art, through communication, through being in the limelight. You may have a whole lot of that coming at you next week. Take advantage of it. But again, if your soul is saying, don't do it, not feeling good about it, absolutely don't do it. Put it away. If it's meant for you, it will come back around. Certainly will. So I'm sorry I missed you last week. I started a new job. Yay! It actually feels like play to me. It doesn't feel very job-like. But I started growing microgreens, and I've been growing flowers. Yes, I'm an aspiring flower farmer and a microgreen grower. I love microgreens. They are so good and yummy and healthy for you. So my husband said, why don't you grow them and sell them? I said, why don't I? So I did. So I made my first trays a month ago. I'm like, well, now I have these microgreens. How the heck am I going to sell them? How am I going to get them to people? And then one day I was on Facebook and up came an ad for a vendor who was looking for farmers. I went, me, I'm a farmer. I'm doing farming type things, flower farming. It really is farming. It's hard work. And microgreens, farming inside. So I sent them an email and they accepted me. So I have been growing microgreens and working with flowers like crazy the last 2 weeks and was kind of overloaded. So I wasn't in a good space to do a good podcast. And I also didn't know what to talk about. I had that feeling of, okay, not quite sure what my topic should be. Well, this week that got resolved in a couple different ways. You know, the universe in my life has always handed me whatever it is I need if I ask for it. If I say, all right, spirit, God, higher power, universe, I'm feeling a little not on the right path, maybe not inspired, maybe a bit shut down, what is it I can do to shift all that? And then the universe provides. So this week, the universe provided the topic for this show like over and over and over again. And I went, okay, here we go. So the topic for this show, what we're going to talk about today, is what is a psychic medium? What is the difference between a psychic and a medium? And I want to focus more on mediums because this week, just out of the blue, random people would message me on Facebook or send me an email or even at my new job ask me, what is a medium? What do you do? And because I've been doing mediumship for so long, I just thought, well, everybody should know that. It's all over TV. But it surprises me how many people really don't know what it is that we do as a medium. So if you've never listened to my show before and this is your first time here, I'm a certified, scientifically studied medium. I went through a triple blind study through Wimbridge Research Center and Forever Family Foundation, and it was amazing and hard. And what they do is they test to see if you are truly talking to discarnates. They call them discarnates. I call them dead people. So I got into this study because I was talking to dead people super strong and I didn't understand it and I didn't know why I did it. I just did. And I was good at it. Not to brag, but that's what my clients would all tell me. You're really good at this. And I was like, yeah, okay. I don't know why, but I am. So I signed up to be studied because I wanted to know why I was weird and why I could do this. And I wanted to meet other people who could do it like I did it. So I did this study for, I think it was almost 2 years, and I got certified. I'm one of 21 people in the world who is a certified, scientifically studied medium. So in my practice of doing mediumship, I would talk to people on the phone. I've talked to people on stage. I have done group parties. Those are fun. I have done private in-person readings. I've probably read for maybe 10,000 people, maybe more. I never really counted. And in the big groups, I would read 35 people in a 2-hour type situation. And I wasn't just picking one or two people and doing a reading. I read for everybody in the room a quick 10 to 15 minute reading. And I loved it. I totally loved it. I stopped when I lost my voice, when I had thyroid issues and my thyroid was pounding against my vocal cords and I lost my voice. So I've talked about that in other episodes, which you can check out if you haven't listened to this before. I don't want to burn up my hour talking about that, other than I have retired from doing readings publicly and just shifting gears, doing flower farming, growing microgreens, doing art, doing the things I love to do, other than reading for people. So that brings me to the topic for this week. What is a psychic medium? So I had someone reach out to me. This was at the beginning or maybe the end of last week. And she asked me, is being a medium of the devil? And I had to smile because if you ask my parents that, they would say, absolutely, yes, you are going to hell. If you ask me that, I would say, absolutely not. It's the work of angels, because that's what it always felt like to me when I did mediumship. And here's why. When a medium connects to the other side and they're boosting their energy up, which you need to do to access the other side, dead people, It feels so good in your soul and in your body. It truly is like you just got a giant hug from the angels. I always felt like I was being hugged by angels when I performed mediumship for my clients. And when I was on stage reading for a lot of people, and a lot of the other side would be in the room with me, not only did I feel like I was getting hugged by angels, I felt like I was getting hugged by the other side. So all these spirits, these energies in the room with me who wanted to share messages with their family were hugging me and touching me and making me feel so connected to them. It was like being outside of my body and watching myself work. And it was the most amazing, beautiful feeling I've ever had in my life. It was amazing. So, no, I do not feel like being a medium is of the devil. It is more of a calling, a spiritual calling, and kind of it's an energetic calling for sure, because you use a lot of energy to do mediumship if you're doing it right. And not only that, it is a healer's path. Because in my experience, when I would read for people as a medium, just doing mediumship, which meant just talking to those people on the other side, not talking about the client's personal life, their issues with money, romance, family, health, all of that. Wasn't talking to the client about the client in any way, shape, or form. I was talking to their loved ones who had passed for the client, and I was like the telephone operator. That's really what being a medium is like. It's like you're sitting there with your phone talking to the customer, the client, and you're dialing up spirits on the other side, and it's like a party line, right? Because it's between me, the client, and the other side, and I'm in the middle being the messenger. That is what a medium does, partially. So the other part of being a medium is the healing, which I mentioned before, because a lot of those messages from the other side are actually closure for the living. It's really this divine path of bringing closure, healing, communication from the other side to the client. And I have to say, it is one of the most beautiful things to do when you are called to do this. It's like being a nurse. It's like you're being the nurse for the other side for the living. And it's powerful. It's so powerful. I did this for 38 years, and the things that I would hear from the other side were so magical and amazing, and sometimes just flat out stunning, and other times horrific and terrible and sad. There were many, many times when I talked to clients when I was trying not to cry because I had to deliver the message, right? So I'm sitting there saying what the person on the other side wants to say to their loved one, and I'm trying not to cry with the loved one who's on the phone with me or sitting in person with me, because it totally would touch my heart, and I would feel the client's sadness, I'd feel the other side's concern, I'd feel all this energy, and it was absolutely beautiful. So when someone asks me, is it of the devil? I don't believe so, because I don't think anything from the devil, from the dark side, from an evil standpoint, is going to feel as beautiful and loving and angelic as being a medium is. There's a whole process that happens during a mediumship reading. And when I would do mediumship, I would make sure that my room, my space that I was doing readings in, was very, very protected. I'd put salt around my room. I make sure I had a white candle lit. I would put gold light around myself to protect my aura and my energy. And I would ask my guides and angels before I started to make me the conduit, the messenger, and to really open my energy up to all the beautiful, wonderful healing that was about to happen in the session that I was getting ready to do with my client. And that's what I would do before I ever rang them up to start the session. So, what would happen to me in my readings is first I would get hot. I would feel like I'm having a hot flash. And that was always a clue to me that spirit was with me and the other side was with me too. So let me tell you what it feels like to feel the other side. And if you are somebody listening to this and you have any of these occurrences happening in your life, you are probably a medium. All right. So for me, I would get hot. Sometimes I would get cold. Sometimes I would get cold before the reading ever happened, like first thing in the morning when I get up, and I would start hearing messages before I ever got on the phone with the person I was going to be talking to. And because that would happen to me, and I would do so many readings during the day, I wouldn't exactly know who it belonged to. I would just hear, like, is it my time yet? Are we going to go talk to whoever it was? And one of the people that I would get that from constantly when I had to read for her was one of my clients. Her name was Anne. And every morning on the day that I was supposed to read for her, I would hear, I'm ready. I'm ready. Tell her Joe's ready. And I would think, oh, so that's Anne. And I need to hurry up. Even though her appointment was like 3 hours out, I would think this spirit really wants to talk to his mom. So I would feel that. Other times I'd be in my kitchen, like cleaning up the dishes, having my coffee, whatever. And I'd hear a woman's voice say, you missed a dish. I'm like, who do you belong to? And they give me the name of the client I was going to read next that morning, first thing. I'd be like, oh, well, she likes her kitchen clean. And I didn't know who she was. I just knew there was a woman talking to me who was connected to my client that I was going to be talking to probably in the next hour. So that would be how my days usually started before I did readings. I would start getting messages way ahead of time. I would also sometimes have dreams about who I was going to be talking with. Not the living people, but the dead people. And they would come and tell me, oh, we're going to be talking to Rick today, and I need him to know da 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 da. And I'm his dad or uncle or whoever. And sometimes they tell me who they were, and sometimes they give me a name of who they were, sometimes not. And so then when I would get on the phone, not realizing that I had dreamed what was going on, because you know how you wake up and you just forget that you had a dream like that, and I had them all the time. I would kind of file it, and then I get into the reading with Rick on the phone. I'd be like, I already talked to your dad, who was like your uncle, because he wasn't around very much. And it would be like, oh, this is so deja vu. Yeah. So that is some of the things that happen before a reading ever starts. When I get into the reading, as soon as I get the client on the phone and I say hello and say we're going to be doing a mediumship reading and the recorder's on, I always recorded everything because I am a physical medium as well as a very spiritual medium. And in physical mediumship, I would have actual paranormal events happen while I was doing readings, like voices of the other side coming through my cell phone. I would have knocking happen. I would have lights go on and off. I would have all kinds of things happen. And because I recorded all of it, sometimes it would show up on the recording. And I know this because I would have to listen to the recordings, the first 5 minutes, to see who I was talking to before I sent them out to my customers over the internet through an email. So I would always hear the first 5, maybe 10 minutes before I would say the actual client's name and go, oh, okay, that's who that is, and know who to send it to. But sometimes in the very beginning, I would hear a voice. There was one lady that I read for where she had 2 voices come through on her recording, and they both said their names. She didn't know who they were. Turns out it was for the next person I was reading for. So I always listen to the recordings afterwards, and I will tell my clients, hey, you need to go listen at like 27 seconds because there's voices talking. But that's what would go on with me in my little office while I was doing mediumship. I wasn't just hearing what the other side had to say. I felt them. I smelled them. I could taste what they like to eat. I could taste what was going on with them when they were sick, which was kind of gross. I could feel in my body what was wrong with somebody who was dead or dying, how they died, what made them die, who was around when they died, because they would tell me, and I would see them. I'm a very visual medium. I would also hear so distinctly what they wanted to say. And these things all came through me super easily. And if you're listening to this and you're going, yeah, I do stuff like that, I thought I was crazy. No, you're not. You're a medium. I thought I was crazy. When I was younger, I just absolutely thought I was cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs because the dead were interacting with me constantly and I didn't know what it was. So when I figured it out, it all fell into place. And now it's part of who I am always. It always will be, even though I'm not doing readings. So, yeah. So during a reading, a medium's job is to first give the customer that they're talking to, the client, evidence that they are talking, in fact, to their loved ones. So during a reading, my job as the medium was to make sure that the messages coming through made sense to my client. So I would interact with my clients and say, well, Bill says that his chest no longer hurts, his head's okay, his eyes are okay, and his stomach is not feeling like it has knives in it, especially on his right side near his bladder. And do you understand this? And then the person would say either yes, I do, or no, I don't. And in Bill's case, yes, his daughter knew that he had bladder cancer. And he had told her he felt like he had knives in his bladder. This was directly from Bill telling me these things. Then I would go on to describe how he passed, if he shared that with me, because a lot of times the other side will say, this is what happened to me when I died. This is what I went through. This is how I felt. It is totally their interpretation of what happened to them in their living life. Many people do not understand that when they go to a medium. They think that the person on the other side is going to have this big back and forth conversation with the living person, when actually it's more of, let me tell you, the medium, what I went through and how it felt and what my feelings were about it, and if I was sad or frustrated or happy, any of those kind of feelings, so my living person knows exactly what was going on with me. And so many times when I would share that information with the living person I was talking to, I would also hear from the other side, I'm sorry I was grumpy. I'm sorry I wasn't a good patient. I'm sorry I didn't get to say goodbye to you. I'm sorry I had to leave. And the living person would go, oh no, they weren't like that. But the dead person that was connected to them, their loved one, would say, this is how it was for me. These are my perspectives. So when you talk to a medium, if you're thinking about getting a mediumship reading, make sure you are not giving that medium a whole lot of information. You want that medium to give you the information, and you want to be able to connect to it and be open to it and know that it is a perspective of your loved one who has passed that is coming through in that reading. And the medium's job is to give you the evidence of that. So keep that in mind if you choose to get a mediumship reading. There were many, many times I had to say, this is the perspective of the person who's talking. You may not have seen it that way because you love them oh so much, and you loved taking care of your mother or your grandmother or your father or whoever. So you saw past the imperfections and the pain and the hurt and the frustration and the anger that goes along with dying so many times, and all of those feelings that come up. But those on the other side want to tell their loved ones, this is what happened to me and what I couldn't do. I would hear so many times I couldn't talk. So if I could have talked, I would have told you, I love you. Thank you for taking care of me. Or I couldn't leave you a lot of money because I didn't have a lot of money. Or I'm sorry things turned out the way they did. I couldn't control it. I heard that so many times from the other side. And all of it was a validation of what was happening to the person who was dying or did die and didn't have any closure with their loved ones. So part of being a medium is bringing those messages of closure to the living. And oh my gosh, the healing that occurs when that goes on is again like giant angel hugs for both the client and for me. It was just incredible. There is a type of mediumship where they do not share the feelings of the dead. So the Spiritualist Church has a way of doing readings where it is just the facts, ma'am. Just give the facts that that person is dead, that they are connected to the person who you're talking to, who the medium is talking to, and that that person has the evidence. And as wonderful as that is, I have a hard time doing just the evidence because they talk to me like I'm an old friend who is conveying their messages to the living, and they want them to know, I'm sorry, or I love you, or I'm proud of you, or I'm around you watching out for you, or I didn't get to talk to you. They want the living to know that, and they want them to hear it. So I tried doing the spiritualist version. I tried it. I did the evidence, but I always felt like I was not doing the work the way I was meant to do it by not giving the healing messages that would go along with it. So when you are searching for a medium, those of you listening to this, make sure that you get somebody who either just gives you the facts of that person's life and who they were, if that's what you want from them, or find a medium who's going to share the whole thing, the healing messages, the evidence, all of that. So if you're looking for a medium, think about, do you just want the facts of who this person was, the evidence, and have the medium tell you all the evidence of who they were, what they did for a living, what they were like, how they were as a parent or a brother or a sister or a child, whatever it is that is evidence in their existence? Or do you want more? Do you want the actual healing part to come through too? Because either you didn't have closure or you just want to know what their energy is telling the medium beyond just the evidence. And please know that I am not bashing the spiritualist church at all. There are some incredibly gifted mediums in that kind of setting, and they do some amazing, amazing, beautiful work. I just know for me, I had to share the healing messages along with it. It was part of how I do readings. All right, so let's get back to what else a medium does. A medium, if they're a good medium, will not ask you a lot of questions. They will not. They don't want to know anything because they want the information to be as pure as possible from the other side. So when you, the client, ask a medium to give you the nickname that you called each other when your loved one was alive, your medium more than likely will not get that. They also won't get first names very often because here's the thing, on the other side, once people pass away, they become pure energy. They rise up to a very high vibration and they change. The soul goes through a transformation. I really liken it to starting in spirit school when you die. You go to a brand new place that is pure energy, and you are a baby soul in that brand new place. Just like when you come into the world as a living person, you don't know how to do much. And so, what I have found in my mediumship is other souls that are connected to this brand new soul that has just passed into this new energy realm come and help this brand new energy that has just arrived from being a living person. And it's kind of like going through spirit school. So it is not important for them to have a name because they are pure, beautiful energy, loving energy for the most part. Unless they were horrible, nasty people in life, because if they were, they'll be so in death. That's how it goes. They don't suddenly have everything washed away when they die. No, they're still nasty. All right. And some are evil. So evil in life usually means evil in death. I do not talk to the very evil energies. I refuse to because too many times they will want to take me over. And I don't want to allow that because then I'm sick for 2 weeks afterwards. And I can't get rid of them easily. It's not good. And they don't have anything good to say to the person that I'm talking to who is living. So I shut that down pretty fast. Protection, protection, protection. For the most part, the spirits that I've communicated with are absolutely wonderful. And they're just like all of us. They're living people who have transitioned into a higher vibration. And they want their living people to know that they're okay, that they love them. Whatever their regrets might have been, they will share that. They'll share how they died. They'll share very personal things that only the living person would know. There's the evidence. So they don't give their names. It's not important. It's like, I was who I was. Now I am this. And they just share all those things. So it's very hard to get names. If you find a medium who can get names really easily, then that is a gifted medium. I was not that lucky. Every now and then I would get a name. Hardly ever. I wasn't good at the name part. What they did share was what they missed. They would always share what they missed. So if you're going to a medium and they start talking about how Grandma Gordon liked cooking fried chicken and watching Grandpa Gordon spit watermelon seeds across the table outside at the barbecue, or how she liked to have her hair done every Friday when she got older because it made her feel pretty, or how she had 4 different heart attacks and didn't die. That's the kind of things they love to share. They also love to share that they miss being around their people. They miss having those human interactions with the living because everything they're doing is kind of on a pop in from that high vibration to the living realm vibration and give you a clue that they are around. And so when they talk to me for a client, I will hear many times, I am watching out for usually a child. They will say, I am knocking on the wall, especially at night, to say goodnight to you. I am rummaging through your refrigerator like I'm in it and I'm going to break out of it. I get this a lot with grandmas who like to cook, who are always in the kitchen. Sounds like they're busting out of the refrigerator. They will tell me I shuffle around in my house slippers, my favorite house slippers, and my bathrobe in your kitchen. You got dishes in your sink. They'll tell me I like to touch the back of your neck when you're working on your computer or on your phone to get your attention, and you may get a wicked cold shiver and not know what that is. Well, honey, it's me. And that I would hear that all the time. I am touching you and it's me. In fact, in a lot of my readings, I would actually invite the spirit to go touch their loved one, or they would ask me to tell their loved one, hey, I am standing right next to her on her right hand side, and I have my hand on her shoulder, and I want her to know that I am right here and she can feel me. And then I tell my client's like, oh my God, yes, I'm cold. Yes, I feel that. And then it's like flash, it's gone. This is the most magical part of being a physical medium who can feel what the spirits are doing and share it with the living. To me, that's like the most beautiful gift you can give somebody who's lost a loved one. See how it's like hanging out with the angelic realm? It's just giving the living people hugs all day long. Since I'm not doing that anymore, I seriously miss it. I really do, I'll be honest. I miss doing readings and I miss the interactions with all the different energies, but I also know I got to take care of me, and it's not the path that I'm supposed to be on anymore. But I do seriously miss that beautiful healing that happens. So let's talk about what mediums don't do. Because if you're looking for a mediumship reading, you need to know this. A reputable medium will not give you a psychic message. What does that mean? So if you say, does Gary have a message for me about my brand new job? Gary is not going to have a message for you about your brand new job. Gary might say to you, I go to work with you and I look over your shoulder, or I'm protecting you from your mean boss, or I know that you're stressed out because your job is not going good, but they won't tell you what you need to change or what you need to do unless it pertains to them, to the other side. I have had so many people in spirit say, did you find the money I left you in the Bible? Did you find the insurance policies at This bank that's in my safety deposit box that I never told anybody about, even in my will. Oh, that's right. I didn't have a will. I've told people that, and they have found lots of money and lots of surprises. Did you find the money that I stuck into the wall grate 2 years ago? There's like $4,000 in there. Things like that, they will absolutely share. The other thing they will not do is give you a message through a medium about how you need to change your life and what you should do. They won't do it. And the living people always want that kind of message, but they will not do it. They will give their perspective of who they were, how they felt, what they regret, what they love, what they miss, and the things that did not have closure. That's what they share. And then they are off to do their work in the spirit realm as they become stronger spirits in that energy. So if you go to a medium and they start telling you, your Uncle Bob says you need to leave that guy. Oh, they won't do that. Your Uncle Bob might say, I protect you from that guy you're with. Or they'll say, you have a new love coming in, but they won't give you anything else to go with that. They'll also say things about spending time with you when you're sad. They will acknowledge when you're going through some kind of struggle, but they will not give you resolutions. They will not give you advice. I got asked a million times, does my loved one have any advice for me? No, they don't. So if you go to a medium and he or she answers that question with advice, that is what a psychic does. Mediums only gather information from those who have passed away to share with the living. They don't give advice unless Aunt Mary just pops off with, I like your hair, but it's the wrong color, because they're acknowledging that you colored your hair. But Aunt Mary's not into coloring hair. Okay, and you'll know that about Aunt Mary. Or, I'm bringing you coffee, but you don't like coffee, and you need to like coffee. They won't say that. They'll just say, I want to bring you coffee and sit down and have coffee with you, because that was something you did when they were living, right? See how that's so different? A psychic will say, oh, I see Scott bringing you coffee and putting cream and sugar in it and stirring it and bringing it to you and telling you, you should get rid of that job and you should go do this and you should go do that. That is not a medium. That is a psychic. All right. That is not the message from Scott. Scott is acknowledging that he brought you coffee and wanted you to drink coffee with him. That is what a medium does. Psychic will tell you intuitive hits of what they're getting, and it will come in to the mediumship reading if a psychic is not careful with that. There were many times when people would ask me, does Joe have advice for me? No. But the psychic part of me wanted to say the advice is blah, blah, blah. And I would say, that's not from Joe. That's my own intuition coming through, because you're asking me a psychic question. So be careful with that. If you have a medium asking you a lot of questions, you need to run. Don't do that reading. Get your money back, because most mediums don't want to know anything. We want the information to come in pure and beautiful and wonderful, like a giant angel hug, and be as evidential and pure and without any kind of influence from you, the client. So those are some things to keep in mind when you talk to a medium. So for those of you listening going, I'm a medium, what do I do with it? Well, here's the thing. Sometimes you're super sensitive. You can be super open to all the different energies of the world. And it may not be your path to put up a website and start charging for readings. That may not be you. Your path may just be to connect to the other side, acknowledge who they are, and say, I'm sending you love and I'm glad you're around. And that's it. It may not be reading for other people. It may be that you're an empath and you're sensitive and you can connect to all the different realms. And you may be somebody who does like paranormal investigations where you're looking for the other side and you're seeing the evidence and acknowledging them, or clearing a house, doing whatever you want to do with the paranormal. You may be a nurse who works in hospice, and your job as a medium and a nurse is to get that person to transition. Yeah, there's a lot of that. You may be an anesthesiologist who sees people basically have a little death every time they go under anesthesia because you're really not in your body anymore, which is very parallel to dying. You're not in your body. So you may be witnessing that and taking care of people's souls while they're getting surgery. You may be somebody who is a psychic, but you're not really comfortable with the mediumship part, and that's okay too. There's all these different aspects of being a medium where you don't actually have to do anything with it except acknowledge that there are dead people around you, saying hello, interacting, and letting them know, hey, this is when I'm open to accepting your energy, and while I'm sleeping and my time or at work or with my kids, it's not okay. And let them know. Put up a boundary. You don't have to invite them in 24/7. You do not. So if you're dealing with any of those kinds of things, put up your protection, put up your boundaries, because just like any other energy, whether living or dead or in between, you can have boundaries with it. You can say, no, that's not okay with me. Totally not okay. You can do all these things to work with the other side that are beautiful and gentle and peaceful. You may be somebody who just likes to go to graveyards and connect to the dead. When I first started getting into this, I would go to graveyards with a bag of birdseed, and I would sprinkle birdseed around specific graves where I felt like nobody ever goes there. Nobody acknowledges the dead. And I would say, I'm bringing bird friends to you. I'm leaving some sliced up fruit and some birdseed as a gift for you. And I bless your soul. And I would do that a lot when I was young before I actually started reading for people, because I had a fascination with graveyards. I also had a fascination with hearing the dead and seeing the dead, because I did all the time, and not knowing what to do with that. I just knew it was happening. And before I had any kind of interaction or training or teaching, I didn't know what to do with it. And you may be going through that right now too. And all you can do is honor that for yourself and maybe look in to some mediumship classes to help you move forward with it and really figure out, am I really a medium who wants to go out into the world and read for people? And there are some really amazing mediums out there. So look at Forever Family Foundation's website. You can go to Wimbridge Research Center and check out their website. There are so many amazing gifted mediums out there who will take good care of you. And if you're a medium and you think you're a medium, just learn as much as you can. Really look at how you can use your gifts for your well-being as well as others, if that's what you choose to do. So this is what a medium is all about. To bring you the messages from the other side for the highest good of both people involved or everybody involved, and to bring closure, healing, and evidence to the living people. Not to bring psychic messages and influence what's going on in the living person's life by telling you what to do. No, just to bring you messages. So I hope this gives you some insight as to what is a medium, what does a medium do, not of the devil at all, unless you're with a really bad medium who is pumping you for information and wants a lot of money and is giving you psychic information, not evidence, not healing. It's all about you, the client. No, that is not a medium. So beware of that. Choose your people carefully when you get a reading, because it's a very intimate thing to get a mediumship reading. Very intimate. And you want to be with somebody you can trust, who's going to take good care of you and take good care of your people on the other side while you're having a conversation with them. I will leave you with all of this, and I hope it helps to clarify exactly what a medium is and is not. And I want to thank all of you for listening and for sending me messages. Where am I? Because I wasn't there last week. And I look forward to the next podcast. And I want to wish you all just a really beautiful, magical week coming up. Check us out at Witching Hour Hats and Gifts. That is my website for all my creative stuff. My podcast is also there too, witchinghourhatsandgifts.com. Also check us out on Facebook. I have a Facebook auction page called The Witching Hour Magical Market, and a lot of very, very talented artists and vendors do auctions in this market every Wednesday through Sunday. So check us out there. And I just want to wish all of you a beautiful, magical, wonderful Leo week, full of fire, full of energy and opportunity. And thank you so much for listening, and I'll see you next Friday.